and welcome to Inside Edition, where we discuss national, regional, and international issues in depth. Since 2016, the Bahrain Smart Cities Summit has been one of the leading events in the Kingdom of Bahrain for smart and sustainable solutions for cities of today and the future. This annual conference has been the platform for many cross-sector collaborations in Bahrain, paving the way for innovation and transformation to a smart kingdom. This year marks the 5th edition of Bahrain Smart Cities Summit, which builds on the success of previous summits. To know more about it, we are pleased to be joined here at the studio by Smart Cities expert, Vice President of Smart Way Consultancy, Daneh Al Rayes, right after this. Welcome back. Joining me in the studio is Smart Cities expert, Vice President of Smart Way Consultancy, Daneh Al Rayes. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Smart cities has been a topic that's been on the agendas of many countries over the years, but the pandemic really shed the light on a lot of aspects of what smart cities is. Can you give us an idea about Bahrain Smart Cities Summit that's coming up, as well as its aspects and goals, and shedding more light on what it really means for the environment, what it really means for the people that are going to be within smart cities?
Thank you. Actually, I think that's an excellent question to start with. As you said, smart cities is now something that everyone is talking about. I think it's the way of the future. There is no going back now. We started the idea with the Smart City Summit back in 2016. So this year was the 5th edition of the summit. And the main idea that we started with was to have a place where we can get everyone together to share knowledge and experiences. We started with a small group of people. Our first summit was around 50 people back in 2016. And this year, the 5th edition, we had around 250 people. So there was definitely a lot more growth that happened over the past 5 years for that. Right. And again, the idea is to share knowledge, to share experiences, and to talk about the challenges and opportunities as well for smart city implementations in Bahrain and in the region.
Right. When it comes to the topics that are addressed within the Smart City Summit, has the number of topics or the kind of topics increased over the years of doing the summit?
Definitely, yes. Smart cities is a very dynamic concept. So each year we try to focus on, let's say, the most prominent issues that are facing smart cities. Right. So this year, for example, we had a panel session about smart real estate, which is very happening now. We also had a session about waste management. We had a session about the Be Aware story, the story of the Be Aware, the app that everybody's using. That's also part of a smart city implementation, if you like, in the health vertical as well. We had a session called Tomorrow's World, and in that session we had experts actually from outside of Bahrain talking about what do they foresee in terms of technology, in terms of sustainable solutions for the future.
Right. Well, what are the main topics discussed during this year's summit? You mentioned that it's going to focus, or one of the problems that are going to be faced, but primarily what other topics are they going to talk about that you're looking forward to?
Basically, we also have a very interesting session that is about the smart city initiatives in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And this is where we're going to have the presentation from the government entities in Bahrain, showcasing their latest projects that are implementing smart city solutions. There is also a very interesting presentation from the Ministry of Interior about smart police for a safe kingdom. Right. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to seeing not just what the private sector is contributing to the smart cities, but also what the public sector is doing about it.
Right. Looking at it that way, previously smart innovation, smart technologies was always something sort of reserved for the private sector, but especially in the last few years, we've seen a huge jump, especially from government institutions that and under the directives of His Majesty the King to actually digitalize a lot of the services, which saved citizens' time, that saved the environment, pollution, and all that kind of things. Do you think that sustainable development is going to be part of the discussions when it comes to the summit?
Definitely. We have a session that is called, that's entitled opportunities for smart cities during and after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
And in that session, we have representatives from the private sector, from the public sector, from the UNDP as well.
Yeah.
They're going to be shedding the light on what has happened during the pandemic and what are the areas of potential growth, you know, to keep on building on what has happened from that and all the adaptation of this new technology, of course, to the benefit of the human being at the end of the day.
Right.
So, yes.
Perfect. You mentioned the people, or basically the amount of people that came from the first summit, the second one, the third one. This year, we have an amazing number coming. Do you value this vast participation in the 5th edition of the summit?
Of course we do, and it's not just the numbers, it's also the diversity of the different sectors that they're representing. So as I said, we have public sector, governments, government agencies, we have private sector, consultants, professionals, we have academia as well, and we also have NGOs. So this exactly is the right mix. This is the mix that we wanted from the very start, is to have all of these people together in one room, talking, discussing about these aspects, and also the fact that we have a variety of panel discussions, of presentations, so there is something in there for everyone, covering the different verticals of smart cities.
Amazing. Well, what makes this year's summit unique when it is compared to the previous ones?
Well, first of all, I must say the attendance, as we were talking. But then we also were very honored to have regional participation as well. So we had an official delegation from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We had an official delegation from the United Arab Emirates. And we also have the knowledge partner from the United Nations and the UNDP and the UN Habitat in Bahrain. So this is the first time that all of these three different things happened, yes, at the same time in this event. And I'm sure that it has really had a very positive impact in terms of participation, in terms of the knowledge that was shared, in terms of the experiences that were also there. So definitely the amount of people that came and also the different entities that were represented, plus the regional representation as well. Absolutely.
Well, the Bahrain Smart Cities Awards 2021 usually aim to recognize pioneering projects, and even this year that is the case. They also recognize initiatives and individuals in smart and in sustainable solutions implemented in Bahrain. Can you tell us more about its importance and the participants and the winners?
Yes, so the awards were introduced in the 2018 edition that we had. So this year is the third year of the awards. There were 10 categories, and we had over 30 applications in Bahrain for these 10 categories. And again, the categories are open to public sector and private sector. So we were very happy to see active participation and new projects that are coming out in all of these different categories from the public and the private sectors. We had also applications from some schools. We had applications from individuals as well who are very passionate about sustainable solutions and smart solutions in Bahrain. The aim of the awards, as you said, is to recognize these entities or these individuals that are choosing to do things differently. They're choosing to incorporate smart solutions. They're choosing to incorporate sustainable features in their projects. And we know that's not always easy. They're doing something, they're pioneers in their own field. And that's why we would like to give just a small recognition to them and to their awards, to their efforts, by awarding them this award.
Right.
So for this year, for example, we had, I think, 8 winners. And again, we had winners from the sustainable energy projects. We had for the Avenues car park building, which is powered fully by solar panels, yes. And then we had, of course, the smart city. We had for the real estate, Diyar Al-Muharraq won that. And we had for the smart building solutions, we had the Violet building won that. So we also have for the waste management, which is a very hot issue.
It is.
Yes, and the award for that went to the construction waste project, which was developed by the Ministry of Works, Municipalities and Urban Affairs. So as you can see, we have a diverse also of a mix of the award winners, because it it represents what's happening in Bahrain and all of the different aspects. Yes.
While you're talking, I mean, you mentioned, of course, that different entities have applied, or different individuals have applied, schools, government institutions, and everything. Just like from your experience, what is, in your point of view, what is the criteria of the person that comes to apply for the award, or how can they be a part of it?
Well, first of all, on our application page on the website, we have the award criteria.
Right.
And of course, it has to do with a project that was either implemented or conceptualized with an implementation date for either of the categories. And then we are also looking for tangible proof or evidence of the saving or the luxury that was achieved, exactly, created with this implementation of this project. It's also helpful. We always advise the applicants to look at the previous year's winners. So we're looking at a certain standard, something that's achieved on the national level, something that serves a lot of people, something that has not been done before, let's say, in that field or in that category. And as you know, Bahrain is taking great steps into implementations of smart cities and sustainable projects, but there's still a lot of room for new things to be done in different sectors. Right. So that's what we're looking for.
Amazing. Well, can you tell us more about the accompanying exhibitions and the achievements that it had showcased? Were they from the previous ones? Are they current ones? Are they other ones?
Yes. So the exhibition also came as a result of us hearing the feedback of the people who attended the events in the previous years. So this is the second edition of the exhibition. The first one was back in 2019. This year, the exhibition was bigger. We had around 14 entities that have participated. From the public sector, we had the Ministry of Works, we had the Ministry of Interior, and we had the Information and E-Government Authority. All of them showcased a lot of systems, a lot of projects that were developed within their ministries. And I think maybe for a lot of the participants, it was their first time to get to know these projects. Right. So that was something that was very interesting and added value also to the event.
Opened horizons, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we also had companies from the private sector, companies that are providing solar solutions, companies that are providing educational solutions, companies that are providing citywide platforms to automate and to digitize everything that is happening within the city, companies that are providing automation solutions, waste management as well. So again, that mix also gave the participants an eye-opener to what can be done, who can they talk to, if they have a certain idea in mind, if they have a certain project that they're working on. It basically gave them the opportunity to network firsthand with these solution providers.
Right, right. Well, when it comes to the outcomes of basically the summit, there are a lot of things that you can predict, and there are a lot of things that you have seen, and you usually predict depending on what has been seen. So what are the predicted main outcomes of the summit?
Well, first of all, the first and foremost outcome is that we want to continue the emphasis of the importance of smart cities in achieving sustainable development goals. And that's what we try to demonstrate from all of the different sessions, the presentations, and the people who are talking and participating about this. The other thing is the importance of showcasing success stories. Success stories are always a great way to inspire people. To tell them that it can be done. Somebody else has done it, you can do it the same, you can do it even better. So it's inspiring that. And then also there's creating collaborations. That's also something that we value a lot, and it's creating collaborations and the importance also of public and private sector partnerships. Not everything can be done by the government and not everything can be done by the private sector. But when we create partnerships, definitely we open new doors, new opportunities, and things can be done differently and in a better way as well. Finally, our main goal is to set Bahrain as a role model for smart cities in the region. I think we're perfectly positioned to do that. And with events like these, with the collaboration that it creates, with the network that it creates, I think it sets us in the direction. Right.
From your experience, what is one of the ideal processes of the summit? How will it start from beginning to end?
I think maybe one of the things that we always talk about is that what happens after the summit.
Right.
So we try also to continue that with our participants. We try to create more networking opportunities, to follow up on certain projects that were just in the, conceptualization or implementation stage. Try also to give them more spotlight,
right,
if you like, so that, they know that there is interest, and that pushes them to
motivates them to basically do that project. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you basically take a combination of everything that you've learned over the years and give them that support, create that opportunity for them to feel confident, and then just execute their ideas.
Yes.
That's great. From your point of view, what is the importance of holding and organizing not just this summit but such summits?
I think the most important thing is knowledge. People want to learn, want to share, want to talk about what they have done, and that's why we go to the summits and conferences outside of Bahrain. We want to learn what the others are doing, want to learn international best practices. Having these kind of summits in Bahrain gives you the local flavor. It gives you an idea and a first-hand experience of what the challenges here are. We're dealing with different, similar circumstances. Right. So we can learn from each other, we can avoid each other's mistakes. So that's learning and sharing knowledge, definitely. The other thing is also about inspiration as well. It's about creating new partnerships. Definitely that's what we're looking for. And then we would like also to set Bahrain as a hub for these specialized events. People can come here, they can meet, they can do business, they can learn, and they can do it long term as well.
Yeah, they have everything at the tips of their fingers when they practically come. Everything is there that they need.
Definitely.
Well, one thing that we talked about a little bit before we started the show is the current health circumstances. And they have definitely contributed to further implementing technology in various fields. I mean, we've seen it in technology. We've seen a lot of it in the healthcare system, even if it wasn't focused on, but there was a lot of it there as well. What can you tell us about Bahrain's efforts in this regard?
I think everyone has seen that Bahrain has done an extraordinary job when it came to the pandemic and how everything was ready. And I think the most important thing is that our infrastructure was ready. We were ready as a nation to embrace all of these new systems. The Information and E-Government Authority did a fantastic job of linking, all of the public sector employees.
That's the cooperation you were talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, they did a fantastic job. Everyone was able to do work remotely from home. Why? Not because they had woken up one day and thought we need to do this. This is a result of years and years of planning, execution, and implementation of an infrastructure that was ready to meet these challenges. So that's one thing. The other thing, as you were saying, the health services as a whole. They were just the fact that with the public health centers, and I'm talking here strictly public, you could book your appointment online, have the doctor video call you or via the phone, and then have your medicine delivered for you free of charge as a citizen in the Kingdom of Bahrain. So I think that is something that is really worth noting.
Yes.
Bahrain has done an amazing job. When it comes also to the education sector as well, we had the education gateway, we had the sessions, the lessons that were broadcasted on TV. All of these are verticals of smart city implementation. It's about using systems to address a need that would enable you to carry on with your life as normal as possible through an extraordinary circumstance.
Right.
The businesses also did very well as well. They adapted to the online shopping, whether it was a full-fledged website, whether it was an app, or whether it was just simply, WhatsApp and social media platform. But that also happened because the infrastructure was ready.
Right. Even like initiatives like the Ministry of Industry, where they made the online mall.
Exactly.
and supported local businesses.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, the Ministry of Health at the beginning of the pandemic, we had a different kind of technological aspect, which was the ventilators that were made by Bahrain themselves, as well as also different stuff like, for instance, the educational part of the nurses and the doctors that needed to have routinely updated because of COVID and so on. And all of these mixture really did make life much easier now that we don't know how to go back. Right. So, how do you value the constant support that is provided by the government of Bahrain towards projects that contain implementation of smart and sustainable solutions?
I think the government of Bahrain has demonstrated over the years that it is committed to smart city implementations in Bahrain and sustainable development implementations as well. And we're very happy to see that being translated into the public sector. So, for example, we have the Green Building Code, which was issued by the Ministry of Works. And that is basically a code that is both green, sustainable and smart, that is going to be the code for all of the buildings that are either built by the government or built by the private sector.
Right.
So that's something that we really value. We also see what's happening in the projects that are coming up. So we have the affordable housing projects that are taking into consideration the implementation of smart and sustainable features in these houses on the different projects that they are doing. We also have, as I said, there are pilot projects using solar power on mosques, on public buildings as well. And even though they are just and in schools and public schools as well, these are just pilot projects. But of course, they're going to be reviewed, they're going to be analyzed, and they're going to be, implemented to make better versions of them, and then the rollout for the whole sector as well. So all of these projects that are happening demonstrate that there is a vision, there is a strategy, and there's a commitment to implementation. And I think without these three things coming straight from the leadership, none of that would have been possible. So we're very grateful for that.
We are. One thing that has changed during the pandemic is the way the globe looks at businesses. Everything has become closer, everything has become more within reach and everything. How do you see the future of smart cities on a global level after the pandemic?
I think there's no moving back now. It's just going to go forward. But it's not a one-size-fits-all. Each city has its own challenges, has its own needs, and that's why different solutions are being created to meet the needs of these cities. And even the phases and the take-up, as it can be done in small chunks until you reach the final destination. And usually that is done by addressing the most challenging questions first, the most challenging problems first. So definitely there is a lot more that we are going to see with new solutions for smart and for sustainable cities. And yes, I think the take-up is going to vary, depending on the city, depending on the resources, depending on the challenges that it's facing. But it's definitely exciting times. Things are changing very fast, and keeping up with just what's happening is also very interesting. And people will get to share more and learn from each other's experiences. So yes, it's a very exciting time.
Definitely. I mean, even looking at it from the perspective of, as you've said, each country has their different take on smart cities and everything, depending on their terrain, depending on their culture, depending on their people, the education, the tools that they have. But sharing these experiences can really fill in the blanks when it comes to other people experiencing a similar problem but not finding a solution. What is your take on the cooperation between, globally, the cooperation when it comes to fulfilling the expectations of citizens of the world or in different countries?
Well, we've seen a lot of nice examples. I think under the umbrella of the international organizations, the NGOs, there's the concept of city twinning. So a city becomes a twin of another city, and one city is more advanced. So, and they usually share the same the same terrain, the same environment, the same needs. So one city can benefit from the other. So that's one thing that we see. On the more regional level, so let's say for the GCC level, we've seen that there is a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation as well between the different agencies that are looking at urban development, that are looking at municipalities and waste and all of that on the ministerial level in the GCC, to share knowledges, to share experiences, to do projects that are in cooperation with each other, so that things can be done quickly and actually more in line with the needs of the nation.
Right.
Yes.
Well, what are the future plans for the upcoming Bahrain Smart Cities Summits? I mean, we've hit now, you've started in 2016 was the first one. And this is actually a milestone. It's a 5-year in the making. So what are the future plans for the upcoming Bahrain Smart Cities Summit?
Well, we've already started planning for 2022.
There you go.
It's going to be in September, and inshallah. And we are going to focus more on bringing more international exposure, more international participation, whether in the exhibition or in the sessions themselves. More regional participation as well. Because of the COVID pandemic, we were not able to get more delegations from the GCC, but we're hoping by 2022 we will be able to get more regional participation as well, from the GCC and from the Arab countries as well. So that's something that we're looking forward to. We're also looking forward to having more solution providers showcase their latest innovations for the participants and for the attendees of the summit.
Right. Amazing. My last question to you before we end this is awareness. How do you make awareness about smart cities, about the summit itself, whether to the region or to the people you look forward to cooperating with?
Well, excellent question. And I think we have technology to thank for that, because we're in Bahrain, but with technology we can reach to the whole world. So we use the social media channels, we use our website online presence, we also use the conferences that we attend as well to promote for what's happening in Bahrain and to get more people interested to come here and to see and to witness all of these things. So yes, we use everything. We use technology. We use the network that we already created within the Bahrain Smart Cities Summit, and we have the people who attended who are also talking about it to their friends, to their peers, to their colleagues, and getting more interest into that as well. So yes, and we keep in touch. We keep in touch using, the email newsletters, just to keep everybody up to date with what's been happening and all of that.
That's great. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And for talking to us about this. And we hope that in time for next year, we are prepared with some new information about things that are going to be spread out. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.
And we'd also like to thank you, dear viewers, for being with us. And we'll see you next week in another episode of Inside Edition.